G'day, Sean. Couple of things you said on your video really, grabbed me. Top of the list, egomaniac. I'm one of those people that believes that there's nowhere near enough ego in the world. Unfortunately, Australians have got this nasty habit of downplaying everything they do and trying to pretend that you're not supposed to have any kind of ego or any kind of pride in what you do. Frankly, I think it's bullshit. Just about everybody I know is incredibly underconfident. They don't achieve half of what they bloody well ought to achieve because basically they're just lacking in confidence, for want of a better word. So there's nowhere near enough ego around, and people that have out of control egos, that's a completely different thing. They don't have too much ego. They're just throwing all that shit at you to try to cover up the fact that they don't know what the bloody hell they're doing. Just like the rest of us, they just use a different way to do it. So I'm all for more ego rather than less ego. Now, you're going to have to forgive me a little bit here because I've had a shit of a day. So far, the dog has eaten my iPod and my fucking favourite pencil. But I still love the dog, but there you go. Alright, being strong was another thing you talked about. And I agree with you, it's absolutely bloody amazing. When you're completely on top of everything and you just exude confidence, it is truly remarkable how you attract people and you attract the level of support that you probably should be getting all the time. When you're completely vulnerable and you got your back up against the wall and they're bloody well coming for you, people just run and hide. I don't necessarily understand it, but you're absolutely right. And I find those times when I'm almost oblivious of people because I'm just feeling relatively comfortable and I'm doing my own thing and all the rest of it, that you just tend to attract people and their level of support. I think they just want to get inside whatever it is you've got going at that particular time, rare though those moments may be. Boy, do I get the whole working from home thing. In one form or another, I've been working from home for about the last 30 years in one capacity or another, not necessarily doing the same job all the time, but pretty much always working for myself and pretty much most of the time working from home. I've talked about this in relation to something completely different, but it takes a certain mental state to survive working from home. Top of the bloody list is that nobody takes anything that you do seriously. They interrupt the buggery out of everything you're trying to do, and because you're at home, nobody considers that you're actually bloody working. So it's a real pain in the ass from that point of view, and also it can be quite difficult from a loneliness point of view. It can be quite difficult from all sorts of points of view, but it is absolutely, if you can actually get your head around it, and you obviously have, it beats the bejeebies out of working in an office or working with other people, unless you're lucky enough to work with a really cool group of people. Hands up all those people that work with a really cool group of people. They're very bloody rare. But if you've got it, good luck to you. But there's something to be said for the solitude that comes from working for yourself and working from home. You also mentioned breakdowns, etc., or the frustration that comes from working on your own, or for whatever frustration you come to. I had my midlife crisis when I was 27. That was a very long time ago. But I actually think they're a damn good thing. It's not a lot of fun when you're in the middle of one of those things. It really bloody hurts. But I think you mentioned something along the lines of a loss of faith, in a way of defining what a breakdown is. And to a degree, that's true. And I think if we're going to progress in this world, we have to break through those deeply felt beliefs or whatever. And sometimes that breakthrough can be extremely bloody painful. But it's quite important that we do that so that we can move on and discover those things that we need to discover. So, yeah, not a lot of fun when you're in the middle of it, but quite an important means of getting where we need to be. You also mentioned that you haven't got a lot of time for people that remove themselves from the world. You consider that to be a bad thing. You didn't really explain what that meant, so I'm not going to take what your reaction to that too heavily seriously. But to a degree, I disagree. on one level, I think you just got to let people be who they are, and you got to let them do what they want to do. And I actually think it's reasonably important that some people in our society remove from it, as long as they're spending that time, for want of a better way of saying it, meditating on for the rest of us. Or I remember reading somewhere back in time that people used to get a real buzz out of having a monastery or something like that somewhere nearby. I don't want to get into the whole religion thing at the moment, but just take it that there is a group of people who have removed themselves from the normal everyday stuff that the rest of us go on with, and just try to focus on the good stuff or whatever. And people really liked the idea of having those people around. They just felt they added a really good vibe. Now, I don't necessarily understand that, but I kind of get it to a certain degree. So I got to disagree with you on that one. And also, too, I think there are people like me who need to be away from people for certain periods of time. It's just not a good idea for me to be around people all the time. I like people just as much as everybody else, actually. That's not true, but I tell anybody. But I think sometimes in order to learn who you really are, you can't do that in a crowd. I think you need to have time where you can be on your own. If you're lucky enough to live in an area like I do, though, you need that silence. Somebody once said that the answers are in the silence, and you can't do that in a group. You can't do that in an office full of half-wits that want to tell you about the footy from the previous day or whatever. So, got to disagree with you on that one. But gotta say, I love your stuff, and there's no way you could be producing too many videos. So you just keep them coming, dude. I love it. Yes.
Get it?
Yep.